Going live. We're live. Welcome, folks. Well, if you haven't been in the news and aware of it, Deb is going to inform us what's been going on. It's been a very, very busy day. And Deb?
Somewhat busy.
All yours.
All day. Uh-oh. Well, probably the biggest news of the evening. Mueller probe ends. Special counsel submits Russian report to Attorney General William Barr. Special counsel Robert Mueller on Friday delivered his report to the Attorney General William Barr on Russia's election interference and possible collusion with Donald Trump's presidential campaign. The handoff marks the long-anticipated end of the high-profile and highly guarded Russian probe, nearly 2 years after it begun. No more indictments will be filed from the special counsel's office, nor will any more be recommended, a senior Justice Department official told NBC. It remains unclear how much of the report will be made public, but Barr suggested Friday that at least portions of it will be released. So what did we learn today? Well, the Mueller investigation is over. Mueller isn't recommending any additional indictments. Trump did not fire Mueller. Trump did not sit for an interview. And the DOJ never overruled any Mueller's requests. That said, there are still many unanswered questions. We don't know exactly what the report says. We don't know if and when it will be released publicly, and if it is, what state it'll be released. But I find it telling that we sort of come to the conclusion with no more indictments, no sit-down interview, but at the very least, he was able to complete his report. There was some issue for a long time and some worry that Mueller would be fired. That was obviously not the case. So over the next couple of days and weeks, we will see what it says.
Now, do you think that Donald Trump and friends are opening up champagne bottles tonight?
I have to feel that they probably do have a sense of relief here, Bill. Like I said, I think it's very telling, to me at least, that they are foregoing any type of further indictments for people like Don Jr., some of the other people that were near and around him during all of this. In addition to that, the fact that he concluded his investigation without ever having Trump sit down for an interview is also pretty telling. I think that, it's hard to justify without seeing the full report that I think needs to be released in full to the public. But I feel like a lot of people put too much hope and dream into this report. I don't think it's going to come to the conclusion that a lot of people wanted it to come to the conclusion about.
Well, this reminds me of, and I'm not that old, but when Al Capone, when Elliot Ness tried to get him for murder, he couldn't get an indictment against him. And so Al Capone made it a great thing about he was innocent and that this was just something against him. It was a personal vendetta by Elliot Ness against him, and that he would never go to jail. Well, of course, as we all know, Elliot Ness said, wait a minute, what about tax? Can we get him on tax fraud? And that's what they did. That's how Elliot Ness,
But I feel like, and I'm not trying to defend anybody here, but I feel like
the Southern District is going to nail his butt. Okay?
Maybe, though. But it's not going to if he gets reelected.
Well, the point of the matter is, okay, yeah, that's true. But I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think the American people are stupid enough to go through this.
But we thought that the first time, Bill.
No, but we didn't know him. They didn't know him.
Yes, we did. I totally disagree with that, Bill. All this crap and bullshit that he's done was known before the election. They knew exactly the type of man that they were electing, and they did it anyway. They don't care.
All
They
right.
are single issue voters. So things like abortion that they're obsessed with, things like, gun rights that they're obsessed with, that's all they care about.
But you notice an interesting thing, how New Zealand, right after that massacre, it took them 6 days to put gun restrictions in. And how many massacres have we had that were even greater in number, like the Vegas one, 58, okay, in which Congress said, yeah, but nah, we can't do anything about that because of the Second Amendment. Okay.
I mean, even in the more extreme or on the worse spectrum is the school shooting at Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
Those kids were 7 and 8 years old.
How about the people in that
and they were
church?
gunned down, and we did nothing. And therein lies the problem in this country, amongst many other issues, that we as a country could allow 7 and 8 year old innocent children to be killed and do nothing.
What about the high school kids? What about that group?
Of course, and there's been a lot of high schools, and there's been other shootings. But for example, I feel like that of all the shootings stands out the most because of how young those kids were.
Right, true.
And we did nothing. And to me, that was sort of the red line in the sand of, if we allow this to happen and we don't do anything about it, we don't address it, we don't even have discussions about gun control, that it's over. That we will never have it happen in this country. Because once you allow something like that to take place and you don't pause and reflect and go forward and say, okay, what things can we do to change this, change the laws to make sure things like this don't happen again? We did nothing. It's like after 9/11, there was such a hysteria of shoe bombers and terrorists hijacking planes that, in a rush to secure the country, we passed a whole bunch of laws and regulations, and the TSA became the super, charged organization. And we essentially gave up a lot of the freedoms, just to, protect us.
Right.
And, we're forced to take our shoes off and have pat downs and stuff like that. And that all took us one event.
Right.
And yet we don't take the same measured approach to guns in this country.
Because how many people are going to worry about being at a high school, selling prescriptions or subscriptions or doing a recruiting day, and all of a sudden have a gunman come in and kill them? Okay, so the average American says, well, yeah, that's tragic. It's bad. It's pathetic. But it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me. So why do I care? Yeah, it's a sad thing. And I grieve for those people, and I pray for the parents. Yeah, you do. But at the same time, why should I, as a congressman, as a senator, do anything to change the law? Because I don't want to touch on your Second Amendment, because you Trumpites, you idiots out there, are going to turn around and guess what? Vote me out of office, and I'm going to lose my $160,000 a year patsy job in the Senate. I can't let that happen. So therefore, I will ignore you. I will ignore the issues, and I will continue to act like nothing's happening. I'll act like nothing's happening. And that's the sad part, because a lot is happening. And when you have this kid in this high school that was just in the news, I don't know if you cover it, in that high school that they found out of racial slurs and everything else like that, he's 17 years old. Now, where do you think he gets some of these ideas? Do you not think he knows social media? Do you not think he's aware the Donald Trump tweets. And here's the other part. Twitter even came out and said they need to grasp and prevent this kind of volatile tweeting. Gee, close down the president's account, and that's 60% of the problem. Are they going to do it? No. No. I'm so disgusted I want to end the broadcast. It's just garbage.
I agree.
Oh, federal budget posted a record monthly deficit? You mean to tell me that we spent more money than we collected? I don't believe that. Under the Republicans, the ones that are the fiscal conservatives, the ones that believe that we should never overspend the money that we don't have. Oh my God.
The U.S. posted its largest monthly budget deficit on record in February with a gap of $234 billion, breaking the previous $231.7 billion mark set in February 2012.
I could see Donald down there at Malargo going, hey, can we do better? Can we do better? Next month, can we get to 300, 240? Let's try. I know we can do it. Build my wall. That'll push us over.
Yep.
God, what a scumbag.
But I think to circle back to the Mueller investigation ending and that report being presented to the Attorney General, I think, and like I've said for a while, I think the reality has always been, at least for a while now, is a report or investigation will not end this presidency. This is, in some cases, Watergate, but in most cases, it's not. This is a man that has no self-awareness, no, there's not a patriotic bone in his body. He's completely selfish. Even if the writing was on the wall, he would not step down or resign.
Right.
So the reality is the only way to defeat this presidency is in the ballot box. And, Democrats would be very wise to nominate somebody who it gives the best argument against Trump and what he's brought to this country. Some people could look at the economy and say, oh, look, there's more jobs and people are making more money. But the reality is,
but did you see the Dow Jones?
There's going to become a reckoning, and we're seeing it in things like you're saying, the deficit. But it's not just that. Even people close to him, advisors, are now admitting that the tax cuts that they passed are not providing the growth that they expected.
All right,
and that bill is going to come due, and I feel like a lot of these people in Washington, especially the Republicans, don't care because they've enriched themselves through it. They have secured their power, their place, and that bill is going to come due on essentially my generation of people, like the millennials and the younger generation. And as we are seeing with not only the debt, but the college, tuition and the loan system that is, highway robbery on the citizens of this country, that we're seeing with the medical system in this country, with insurances and pharmaceutical companies, nickel and diming people left and right for things like insulin, things that we're seeing with climate change and the continued sort of worsening of, we're seeing flooding in the Midwest that is historical. We're seeing snowstorms that are historical. We're seeing fires breaking out that are historical, hurricanes, etc. And those are things that are going to get worse. And it's like you say, you're disgusted, and so am I, because it's like we live in a country that simply has so many freaking people that they don't care about these things.
That's true.
As it goes back to the thing I said, from the very beginning, if something doesn't personally impact you, you don't care.
Right.
And it's disheartening, I guess. This is the country we're living in.
It is true. Okay, first of all, Collins, welcome. I like the last name Collins because that was my mother's maiden name, Collins. So you're in good company there. Now, interesting enough, the market, 350 plus points down. And they say that historically, when the market starts doing this, it has historically led to a recession. And if there is a recession beginning, all right, Donald Trump may lose a lot of his base support, not from the hardcore Trumpites, but people like my friend Fred and his son Alex, who are making money in the market, because that's why they love him. They don't love his politics. They don't care about his politics. They don't care about his corruption. They care about that stock market. And if that stock market starts to zoom downward, that affects their pocket, which is what you said earlier, Deb, that if it affects your pocket, then you start caring. Example, I just found out that I qualified for Medicaid. I knew nothing about it, really anything about it. Now I'm becoming a master about it, learning as much as I can about it. Why? Because it now affects me. I am now going to benefit by that program. So I want to know about that program and what services it can provide. And that's the key. And until we have something that will be so egregious that will make people say, God, that's it. That's the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, Donald is confident. Why? Because throughout his entire entire life, he's escaped responsibility. You talk about Teflon. He's Teflon with grease on it. Everything slides off of him. And he says, look, it's happened before, and I defeated it. All I did was say, it's a hoax, it's a lie. I didn't do it, I'm innocent, and I got away with it. So why should this be any different? That's what's pathetic. Only this time, he doesn't have just family members. He's got a bunch of Trumpites there going, you're right, Mr. President, it doesn't matter. Look at all these farmers that voted for him. Now, China says soybeans? No, we're not going to buy your soybeans. And now these farmers are saying, where are we going to get our crops? Where are we going to survive? And Donald's like, I don't care. I'm not a farmer. I'm in real estate. Okay. Well, he avoided the draft. Yeah, 4 times. Committed tax evasion. You're right. You're so right about all these things. But the point of the matter is that when he did these things, he went through legal channels. He had his doctor certify under penalty of perjury that Donald Trump had bone spurs. Now, bone spurs are little fractures, little bones, like thumbtacks, only they're inside the skin. And they make it impossible for somebody to walk or stand for any period of time. So the doctor said that's what he had. So you can imagine a draft board going, why do we want him? Okay, he can't even serve in the military. So we'll give him a 1Y, the American Express of draft deferments. So what does he do? July 1, this is on the 23rd or 24th of June that they come up with his reclassification. July 1, he goes to work for his father in Cincinnati. First job out of college on a construction site. Now he's got such a big ego, he takes a camera crew with him, okay, and records his exploring the construction site, walking all over the place, never sitting down, never complaining, never limping, never in any way showing symptoms of what supposedly less than 10 days ago he had. And for a non-religious man like him, I don't think God said, oh, let us get rid of the bone spurs and healed him. I don't think so. Now, here's another thing. Then we'll get back to what Deb's done such a wonderful job of doing. Donald Trump says Russia didn't interfere in our elections. Okay. Can we say the same thing about Donald Trump? Has he not interfered in the Israeli elections? By going around now and being the only country in the world to say the Golan Heights belongs to Israel. We recognize that as Israeli territory permanently. Do you think he's interfering, especially with a leader who's under indictment, who's may get voted out of office because of his criminal activity? Do you think Donald will admit, yeah, I interfered in the Israeli elections?
Sure seems so.
The only difference is that the Russians did it behind closed doors. Donald does it openly. And of course, when he does it openly, he says, I didn't do that. I didn't interfere.
Speaking of, more tweeting diplomacy, with Trump says he's withdrawing just announced North Korean sanctions. President Trump raised eyebrows on Friday with a tweet declaring he would be withdrawing, quote, additional large-scale sanctions on North Korea.
Why would
which he said had been announced earlier in the day by the Treasury Department. It is unclear what exactly Trump is talking about, though the Treasury did announce sanctions yesterday on 2 shipping companies it said had attempted to evade North Korean sanctions.
And they were Chinese.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders told reporters the decision was made because, quote, President Trump likes Chairman Kim, and he doesn't think these sanctions will be necessary.
Yeah. He also noted that these sanctions, they were restrictions because of what China had done. Now, he knows that his tariffs war with China, he's losing it. He knows he's not winning that war. So now he's trying to figure out, how can I make China like me again? So why not be nice to Kim? And then China will say, well, okay, Donald, maybe we'll talk to you some more because we'll give you a second chance because you're nice to Kim and we support Kim. The point of the matter is, does supporting Kim and sanctions against China, which is hurting our economy, in line with what the president should be doing toward the leadership of America? Is he doing these things in our favor?
No.
Nothing. What kind of a president sells out his own country? A traitor. That's who does it. A traitor. A man who hates this country and yet walks around going, I'm an American. I love my vets. I did the draft dodge, but I love my vets. I love my country. I believe in openness, fairness, good government. Of course, most of the people that hang around me have been convicted. But that doesn't mean anything, folks. Because they didn't convict me. They didn't get me. I'm innocent. I'm totally innocent, folks. I do nothing. I just sit here in the White House saying, hey, don't tell me about that. Don't tell me about that. Oh, don't tell me about that. Don't tell me about that. Just write me a memo and then I'll burn it. And then I'll deny I ever saw it. Yeah. Yeah, sure. You're right on the mark. I mean, you're so right there. Okay. Okay, what else? You got your judge thing? You got your Wisconsin's GOPs?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
All right.
EU grants UK short Brexit delay. The United Kingdom will crash out of the EU on Brexit Day, March 29th. The European Council has given the UK a short Brexit extension to April 12th, at which point they expect to see Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal approved by the UK Parliament. In the likely event that May can secure parliamentary approval of her deal by April 12th, the UK will exit the EU on or before May 22nd. If May cannot get the approval, she will need to return to the EU to, quote, indicate a way forward. Any attempt to remain in the EU past May 22nd is likely to require the UK holding EU elections on May 23rd.
Now, here's another interesting thing about that. People in Britain are hoarding toilet paper. I didn't realize this, but they import about 70% of their toilet paper. Okay? They don't manufacture very much toilet paper. So people are actually in stores buying toilet paper right and left. I mean, this is a civilized 21st century country that's hoarding toilet paper because politicians are sitting there going, well, I don't know whether we should be in the UK, the EU, or whether we should be out of it. So buy your toilet paper. Maybe that can help America, though. Donald, pay attention. Get a hold of Western and Pacific and the other paper mills and tell them, hey, start making toilet paper and we'll put a good deal together and we'll sell it to our beloved country of Britain because they need their toilet paper to wipe up their mess. Oh, by the way, send a few 100 cartons to the White House because I've always been making messes and it's about time we clean these up. I understand Mueller donated the first truckload, okay? And then it seems that the Southern District of New York, I believe those people, somewhere down the road will do the cleanup detail. Okay, they'll have the supplies by then.
Wisconsin GOP acted illegally by stripping incoming governor of power. Judge rules. Republican state lawmakers in Wisconsin acted illegally in December by stripping power from the state's newly elected Democratic governor before he could take office, a judge ruled Thursday. A month after the November election, Wisconsin Republican-controlled legislature convened a lame duck session to undercut incoming Democratic Governor Tony Evers. They confirmed 82 executive appointees nominated by outgoing Governor Scott Walker, many without holding a single hearing, and they blocked the new governor from making administrative changes to state laws and from following through a key campaign promises, such as withdrawing the state from a Republican-backed lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of the Affordable Care Act. They also limited early voting in the state, which had contributed to the record turnout in 2018. But Dane County Circuit Court Judge Richard Nice ruled that the lame duck session itself violated the law, invalidated the actions of the lame duck legislature. Walker Ness found did not formally call the session, nor did the legislator pass a statute authorizing it, as required by the state constitution. The legislator did not lawfully meet, Nice ruled in response to a lawsuit filed by the Wisconsin League of Women Voters. There could be no justification for enforcement of the unconstitutional legislative actions emanating from the December 2018 extraordinary session that is consistent with the rule of law. And I know that the governor, Tony Evers, actually acted on that ruling today by withdrawing all 82 executive appointees. I don't know how it's going to affect his other things, but we'll have to see how that plays out.
All right, OTC, hello. And Dev, when he gets a chance to breathe again, we'll say hi to you as well. Once he goes on one of his spins, he doesn't stop. We have columns tonight. So OTC, we have another wonderful person who's been contributing very, very well. I think we should read some of the comments, Dev, and you can comment on his comments. And I'll take over.
Yeah, read some of the comments. Let's see. Did you see that? Now, I didn't put this in the notes, but I was reading that girl who survived the Florida shooting, the Parkland shooting, killed herself.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, Parkland High School shooting survivor 19 who struggled with survivor's guilt and losing her best friend takes her own life.
Yeah, because it comes down, and that happens. It happens with brothers, twin brothers or something. Why did I survive? Why did she die? Why wasn't it me? Or why couldn't we have both died? Because we're best friends. Or why couldn't we have both lived? It's a heavy, heavy burden.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They are brainwashed. I mean, we ask ourselves, remember when ISIS was really flourishing, and we were saying, how could a sane 19-year-old American who grew up in America, but, was of the Muslim faith, could join ISIS? What would motivate this kid? And it's called radicalization, where you turn over your ability to think. You no longer care to think. You let them or that person do your thinking for you. Whatever they say is okay with you. You no longer need to think. And that's what has happened to these Trumpites, because Donald came in with an interesting thing. We had problems, no question about it, but certainly not on the level that we have now. And Obama didn't create a lot of these problems. George W. did. And Bush and Obama inherited them. But the point of the matter is, the simple point, is that he said, I'm going to make America greater. I'm going to make America better. And nobody said, except people like myself, sane people, how are you going to make America great again? It's already great. But some people like that. Then he went to the lowest level of education, to people that weren't in high school and predominantly white, and started preaching to them. We've got to save the country. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. Oh, by the way, while I'm running for president, we've got to put a ban on Muslims. Okay? Until we can find out what the hell they're doing. Oh, let's take care of the Mexicans too. They're rapists, druggers, tying people up and everything else. And these people just ate it up. It was like giving them chocolate syrup on chocolate ice cream. It was like, oh, let's have some more, Donald. Oh, let me give you some more. And then he kept telling them, folks, I'm giving you chocolate ice cream and I'm giving you chocolate sauce. Isn't it great? And the chemist is sitting there saying, no, fake news. This is vanilla ice cream, and all you did was add a coloring to it. It's vanilla ice cream. And your chocolate sauce isn't chocolate sauce. It's oil that's been colored brown. But Donald kept saying, but they like it. And as long as they love it, they'll love me. And that's why every time he felt low, he would go on a rally tour. Where would he go? To another area that supported him. And it reminds me of the same problem. Where do drunks go? Where does an alcoholic go when he wants friendship and companionship? He goes to a bar. Why? Because there's other drunks there, just like him. And they can commiserate. They can tell each other how great they are and how wonderful their life is and how terrible their marriage is and how the income loss that they're having from excessive drinking isn't their problem. It's the government's not giving them enough welfare money. Okay. So that's kind of where I stand. And then you remember, and I'm not gonna read it. I'll let Deb do that. But what was his big campaign thing against Hillary? Illegal emails. She had a server at home. She had confidential classified documents that she might have had on her server. Lock her up. Lock her up. She's a criminal. Of course, she never had a trial. never was indicted. But as far as Donald was concerned, she's a criminal. Oh, but he's not. Even though the people around him have all been indicted. Okay, but anyhow, now his son-in-law and his daughter are doing the same thing. Where's Donald out there going, lock him up? Lock him up. They violated the law. They're not above the law. No, it's his daughter and his son-in-law. Do you think he would do anything to reprimand them? No. There's the hypocrisy of this president. Well, that silenced everybody. Yeah. And I think that the reason Pence has been such a poor vice president, he's been sitting in the background, never says anything. He's like one of these bobbing dolls. Because he's sitting in the background, waiting to see if Donald Trump gets impeached. Then he can walk around and go, I'm now in the Oval Office. I'm now president. See, my silence was golden. This is how I got rewarded.
He's not going to be impeached.
I know. Maybe he'll be plumbed. Okay, so he won't get impeached, but maybe he'll get implumbed. Let's implumb the president.
Let me see here. What else we got to cover? It says 80% of Americans support reinstating net neutrality. I know we've talked about that issue before. I'm not surprised, although I would question how many Americans actually know what net neutrality is. But it's good to see that people support it. Only 12% of Republican Fox News viewers believe that climate change is man-made. Clearly, the party of science is Republican.
I got to say something there. This is amazing coming out of Fox. This is absolutely amazing. Do you realize how much carbon dioxide comes out of the Fox newscasters in a daily basis? I mean, the level of pollution at Fox News is so high. I'm surprised the EPA hasn't shut them down. Okay?
Oh, you're not thinking of carbon monoxide. You're thinking of bullshit.
Carbon dioxide is what comes out of your mouth.
I know.
Yeah, they ought to send in some sanitation workers because the level of bullshit is getting so high over there. They better start cleaning it up.
Yeah.
You know why Donald likes Fox, folks? Very few people know this. And as you know, I'm a collector of trivia. And it's because he thinks he is a fox. He thinks that he's so smart, he can outfox everybody. That's why he likes Fox. Okay? He probably watches, I don't know, Animal Kingdom, looking for tigers and other symbols. But he looks at himself as a fox. Okay? A golden-haired fox. You know why foxes don't have golden hair like Donald? They'd be too easy to see in the forest and then get shot. I wonder how much he spends a month on hair manicures. And worst of all, who pays for it? Do we pay for it? We pay for everything else that Donald does, including his trip down to Mar-a-Lago with his staff. Look at the bill that's going to be. That's going to be a $16 million plus bill. But there is a good note. The president said that he was going to have a dinner earlier this evening on the patio with just him, his wife, and his son. The Norman Rockwell photo, making us think that I'm just a wonderful person, a loving individual with a loving family. Wouldn't you want to re-elect me? All right. Devin is so bored with the broadcast tonight, he's left us half the time to play with his dogs. He just leaves us from time to time.
Left? I'm still here.
Oh, I thought you were just playing with your dogs.
Plus, I did all the work.
That he does. He is really a great individual. Of course, that's fake news, but we won't tell anybody.
Let's see what does he take a salary? Was that no? He doesn't actually take a salary. He does donate that whatever amount it is per quarter,
100
to 100 some to other organizations. But what he conveniently leaves out is that because he didn't, officially break away from his company and put in the barriers to prevent that, is he is self-enriching himself every time he visits his own properties. He's made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars through doing that. So yes, it's true to say that he doesn't take a salary, but that's not the whole picture.
Well, example, this weekend, they estimate between 16 and 18 million dollars. Now you say, well, okay, but it's government business. Well, first of all, Air Force One, that's fine. Okay, that's the way we insist on him traveling. Marine Helicopter One to get to Air Force One, fine. The Coast Guard having to protect the coastline along Malargo, their property, that's fine. No problem. The motorcade, no problem. The president needs protection. But once he's on his property, 25 Secret Service agents are now working 24/7. That's being paid for by the government, the taxpayer, which is fine. But their food, housing, and everything is put on a tab and charged to Malargo, who then sends the bill to the U.S. government. So we're paying for their lodging. Now, are they being put in a military post somewhere, which would be part of the budget of that military? No, they're putting up at Malargo, which right now is in season. So you're talking about $300 to $500 a night. Now, I don't know if each one of these Secret Service agents gets their own room or two in a room. I don't know. But I'm sure they're not sleeping four in a bed or four in a room. Okay. Now, what about golfing? Oh, well, that's chargeable. Okay. The government is charged for his golf outings and all the people he goes with. All the food everybody consumes, including his entire staff who's down there, who are being put up at our expense. So when he's done with the whole thing, he could rake in $10, $12 million in billings for Malargo, which he owns. Now, would you give up $100,000 ceremoniously every quarter if you can make $12 million on a weekend? Come on, folks.
Oh, yeah.
I would. And you would.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he does. That's how he milks America. Okay?
Hey, our little bio for your video's up. I noticed that.
Oh, good. You know what I think? You know what I think, folks? I think that the bill should be split. That is, anything that's personal. You want to bring down 25 Secret Service agents? Okay? You lodge them at a military installation or at a local Motel 6. Okay? You don't put them up there. Or you set a per diem. whatever the going rate is at the local hotel. Let's say that's Motel 6. Motel 6 is $200 a night per person or per two people, double beds. Okay, then that's the charge. $200 could be charged off to the government, but the balance between $200 and say $475, that's got to be paid by or forgiven. How would Trump like to find that $12 million slashed down to $1.7 million, okay, of reimbursement? You know what he'd start doing? He'd start using Camp David. But because he can get away with it, he doesn't. All right, I'm done. Every single day. And by the way, it's not going to get, more stuff is going to come out. That Miller, the report, by the way, folks, in case you're wondering, it will be leaked. Okay. It will be posted by somebody, and maybe WikiLeaks, if you're listening, maybe you'll get it. Maybe Roger Stone will figure out a way to get it to you. And then you can release it to the world. And then the world
Somebody better release it.
Then the world can see exactly how big a scumbag we have sitting in the White House. Now, I know some of you might be saying, hey, you're being disrespectful. No. I respect the office of the presidency of the United States. It's the highest office in the land. No problem there. I respect the American flag. That's why it flies, not flies, but that's why it's draped behind me. What I don't respect is the person who's representing this country, who's not qualified. It's like turning around and saying, I have an uncle who who I hate, and he drives a Lincoln. Therefore, I hate all Lincolns. No, why should I hate a Lincoln car? It's a beautiful car. Just because I don't like my uncle. Well, that's the analysis I'm making, folks. I don't like the president. He's unqualified, unfit. He's a disgrace to our great country. But I respect the office of the President of the United States, and I would like to see somebody get in there who respects the office of the United States presidency, as did Barack Obama, as did George W., George H., Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, Abraham Lincoln. Oh, well.
Got anything else we need to talk about?
No, I'm just about worn out. I've just about expressed every hatred I've got. And I'm sorry, folks, if tonight has been one of these rants. It's just, when I think of the way in which this person is walking away from so many issues, and is going to turn around and tell people, you see, there was nothing there. It was a witch hunt. There was no collusion. There's no convictions. I'm innocent. And there's going to be a group of people that are going to say, right on, Mr. President, right on. You're absolutely right. We knew that all along. Yeah. But one of these times, you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. Don't know when, but you're going to get caught. Because you can't live your life forever the way you've led America and get away with it. The American people will not let you. So enjoy your last 200 days in the White House, because I don't think you're going to be there for another 4. All right. Anything else you want to? Anybody else want to say anything? I'm sorry. Collins,
yeah, if anybody else wants to. Do you guys like the new bio that's underneath the video?
Well, no, I haven't flipped over to it. I was doing this broadcast.
I didn't ask you. I asked the people.
Oh.
The OTC and them. Also, I don't know. I feel like the tags are somewhere. I just don't know where they're at. But I feel like they're in there somewhere.
Oh, by the way, if any of you when you watch us on YouNow or YouTube, think that we're looking at possibly changing the name on YouTube from Talking Head, only because there's this band of the 60s or 70s. I don't know who they were. Okay, never heard of them. And when you type in Talking Head, they show up a lot. So we're hoping that by maybe changing the name to something else, people won't have that problem. So if you come up with a name that you really think is good, that fits me, please feel free to email me. Okay? Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. All right, folks, we're going to be off until Monday.
We're going to come on Saturday?
Well, we'll be on YouNow Saturday. We'll be on there for a while.
Yeah, we'll go on for a little bit on Saturday.
Okay, now, the other thing is this. We'll be on Monday unless the president is so happy that he mistakenly drinks champagne, gets stone drunk, and falls into the Key Largo pool. And the Secret Service goes, "Where's the president? Where's the president?" And meanwhile, he's in the pool floundering around going, "Help, help, 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 help." And they're going, "Do you hear something? Oh, there he is." And then they think, well, we'd get our suits wet. Is there a bar we can get a hold of that we can give them? Anyhow, unless there's some major breaking thing, we will be on Monday night. So until then, I thank all of you. Collins, Joshua, OTC, Dev, myself. We thank all of you and our 3,765,000 subscribers. Okay? We've got more subscribers on YouTube than the president has. Can you imagine what would happen if the president discovered YouTube every single day? And from the White House, hi, I'm Donald Trump, your president. And this is what I'm thinking today. The only difference is, folks, you know why he doesn't do it? Because you can turn them off. With Twitter, I don't subscribe to them, so I don't subscribe to them, so I don't see it all. I rely on the news to feed it to me because they can't help but say, "Oh, here's the latest binge tweeting." Got to ask yourself, how many people does he have up there going, "Okay, here, write this one. Oh, you write this one. Oh, you write this one. Oh, you write this one."
I think most of them are his.
He's not literate enough to write all of those statements by himself without misspelling.
He does misspell. Some of those tweets have misspellings in them.
Well, yeah, like hamburger. But anyhow, thank you again for the broadcast. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Please tell your friends, okay? And we appreciate your
comment, subscribe.
And we also, Collins, thank you for your input. Very timely, very important, and very, very enlightening. Because remember one thing, folks, these programs are archived. So although we see them now, you will see other people who will watch the videos. Sometimes we have 25, 30, 40 people that will watch the videos, when we're off the air. And they're going to see your comments, and they're going to realize just exactly how good you are. All right, Dev, I think we're the only ones on here, so have a good night. We're going to end the stream. Peace again. See you tomorrow night. Good night.
Yes.
All right.